The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Theo Goodman from Transmission Rocks,
Good evening, everybody.
Blake Anderson from Facebook.com/GotBlake,
Good evening, everybody. I've spent the last few hours huffing glue outside, so I'm really limbered up and ready to talk.
and I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Issue 1. How fast can my computer load the other screen share? Pretty fast today. Issue 1. Wedbush report projects $400 Bitcoin price by 2016. But the honey badger of Bitcoin don't care. Look what I woke up to this morning. Good morning, Bitcoin. Indeed, Bitcoin climbed to 290 before retreating price movement, continuing the run up after the Greek default. Blake Anderson, your thoughts on the latest price of Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, I think it's good that people are starting to say infrastructurally long-term Bitcoin is a very tenable network that will continue to grow in value. As far as picking specific price points and trying to project out, I mean, that just seems like an exercise in futility. But I think that they are correct, and that's going to continue to have an upward trend the longer you go. Obviously, the next big event that we know is going to happen and when is the next block halving in late 2016, early 2017. Other than that, there's things that could happen like nation states and fiat economies collapsing and going into Bitcoin, but we don't know if and when those things are going to happen. So, I mean, I don't think that Wedbush did a terrible job. They kind of got caught up in the trap of going into micro arguments and justifications for things when really all you need is the macro information. What do we know? What are we unsure of? Let's combine those things and try to make a less specific target, and I think that would probably be helpful.
Theo Goodman.
Well, we're already at currently 288 at Bitfinex, so 400. It's not that far off from right here, but yeah, I agree. Calling a specific price target is pretty rough business like that. I believe they were analyzing whether it's a good idea to get this GBTC, which is an over-the-counter share in Barry Silbert's trust, I believe. So, that makes it easier for some people to get exposure to the Bitcoin price. There's also another one in town that's traded on the Stockholm NASDAQ. It's XBT AB Brokers or something. I forgot the exact. It has a long title, but anyway, that's also been traded a lot lately. So probably the chances of those things going up is also pretty high. It's based on the Bitcoin price, somewhat. And I think 400. Well, why not? I think the Bitcoin price today, the rise was fueled by a lot of things. For example, there's been a lot of denial of service attacks against a lot of exchanges lately. There's been a lot of craziness in the market, so I guess the volatility is back. This morning, or in European morning time, there was a denial of service attack on okcoin.com. Nobody could get in or out of position, and the price climbed to around $350 on quarterly contracts, which was I think, $75 move or something crazy like that. So that's pretty nuts and pretty weird at the same time as a denial of service attack, and there's been denial of service attacks on a lot of exchanges lately. So something is up.
Exit question. The price of Bitcoin is relevant or irrelevant? Blake Anderson.
Well, this comes up a lot, and a lot of people love to beat their chest and scream, the price of Bitcoin is irrelevant, it's useless, shut up about this. But that's not exactly true. Bitcoin is this magical medium where you have the computer science and the code that then also interacts with human culture and populace and biology. And that the way that they're interacting is notable. It is interesting. So to say that the price of Bitcoin is never interesting, I think is not true. But at the same time, yes, the fundamental infrastructure of what this technology is awesome regardless of what the price is. So I guess I can kind of see both directions on that.
Theo Goodman.
Oh, the price is definitely relevant, without a question. I think to say it's irrelevant is just missing a big point. Perception is everything, and price has a lot to do with perception. That's a kind of phrase, price and perception, but it's true. And just think of all the memes to the moon, dumping, pumping, all that stuff. What's it have to do with? Price.
Absolutely. Moving on to issue 2. Loading. Issue 2, Bitcoin charity auctions. Multiple Bitcoin charity auctions launched this week, with BitGive celebrating their second anniversary with an online auction featuring signed books by Andreas Antonopoulos, Paul Vigna, and Michael Casey, an hour of Bitcoin discussion with Airbits' Paul Puey, or even a string of 20 Bitcoin keychains donated by companies like Zapchain, Purse, and Airbits. Bid now at bitgivefoundation.org. The second auction, sponsored by the Crypto Show, is in support of Ross Ulbricht and his appeal, featuring signed items by Cody Wilson, $1,000 worth of advertising on Bitcoin.com donated by Roger Ver, cryptocurrency shirts donated by Julia Toriansky, and even a week in Costa Rica sponsored by Ross's parents. Bid now for the Ross Ulbricht auction at thecryptoshow.com/freeross. Theo Goodman, let's all agree that they're both great causes and that Bitcoin and charity go together like peanut butter and jelly. However, in this binary world, we must make choices. Which charity would you support, and why?
Well, I'm going to go with Free Ross, but that's just because I haven't done any research into the charities that I would be supporting if I were to choose BitGive. So I like to know what's going on, and I'm a kind of skeptical person. I give BitGive the benefit of the doubt that they're doing a really good job in picking the charities, but it's easier for me just off if I had to go binary on you, I would just say, okay, I'll support the Free Ross. And that Costa Rica deal, that sounds really nice.
Blake Anderson.
Well, Connie's really nice. I've talked to her a few times on Facebook and stuff like that. So BitGive is a great organization. I don't think it's fair in the context of my opinion to compare should we support them or Albrecht and his family. I'm friends with Ross's mother and have been very, very deeply moved by this case. So definitely I'm going to say that there's kind of a fire under one of these issues a little bit more, and I think that is the Ross Ulbricht appeal. It has a great deal to do with our freedoms and precedents that are legally set in this country. So I'm going to strongly implore everybody to get involved with the Ross auctions and donations as much as possible, and then hopefully look into BitGive and other ways to keep up the good work thereafter.
And of course, you shouldn't choose just one or the other. You should support both charity auctions. And that's really what we're getting at here. I'm trying to make you do a Sophie's choice by having to choose one or the other. But BitGive has done some great work with water wells in Africa, and the Ross Ulbricht Foundation is working on trying to get Ross a fair trial. So both very noble causes, and support them in the links below. Moving on to the middle of the show, and you know what that means. Advertising. Here's the deal. I'm asking you to link your Coinbase or Circle account to your bank, buy $100 in Bitcoin, transfer it to Purse.io, import a wish list, and spend around $120. That's it. All I'm asking you is to put aside Bitcoin as an investment for a moment and spend Bitcoin. That's it. That's all you have to do. Spend Bitcoin. Spend Bitcoin at Purse.io. Now is a good time to submit your questions to the Bitcoin group. We answer all questions live if we have time. If you ask them now, if not, no big whoop. And don't forget to tune in to the World Crypto Network and try out our other shows like Mad Potcoins, Transmission Rocks, Bitcoin Technical Analysis, This Week in Cryptos, and more at worldcryptonetwork.com. All right, enough plugs. Let's move on. Activating screen share. Issue 3, Uber says no. Rebellious car-sharing software maker Uber said no this week. No to Bitcoin. Uber says, despite online rumors mainly stemming from someone in tech support making a mistake and implying, winking really, saying that they were interested and already considering it, which, Unless your company plans on going out of business in less than 3 years, you'd better be considering it. Uber claims to not be interested in Bitcoin because of the complete lack of chargebacks, the easy-to-use online nature of the currency, and the lack of mobile apps like wallets that allow easy bank integration. No, wait, those are all reasons that Uber should be into Bitcoin. Blake Anderson, what's your opinion? Is the king of car sharing only pretending not to be interested in the king of decentralized, distributed finance? Please don't tell me that in the future we're all going to have to take Lyft, because it's really just not as good.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it on the end. I think maybe there's a good possibility that they're just saying that they're not interested in Bitcoin at all because they're already in so much hot water with so many different jurisdictions around the world with what they're doing. They are being very disruptive in a very, very long-standing tradition of taxi cab service and stuff like that. And I mean, Uber is great. I like them a lot. I really was not happy that they completely changed their prices and pushed all of that onto their drivers and absorbed almost none of it themselves. That made me unhappy. And I think that in this day and age, when small goes against big in a tech sense, big loses in a big way. And I don't know that that Uber will always be what they are right now. I think that they're in a very rare state, a very rare situation right now. So are they going to accept Bitcoin? We don't know whether they are or whether they're not, but like you said, anybody that's not considering it within the next 3 years has to be completely certifiably insane.
And it would make so much sense if you could just use the same Bitcoin in America for Uber, travel to another country, use the same Bitcoin in another country for Uber. You never have to convert your money. You never have to worry about it. There's opportunities for discounts.
Yeah, you can go around using mathematically provable scarcity everywhere instead of being like, oh, let me change my criminal note from this jurisdiction of jerks over to your jurisdiction of jerks. No, I got to pay a fine here, and they took all my money at the border. I mean, who wants to deal with any of that stuff?
And as an app maker, when someone travels to another country and they need to use your app, why have them need to change anything? Why not just keep it the same? It's one less step. Theo Goodman, your thoughts on Uber and Bitcoin?
I think it really makes sense for their business, so I don't really get why they're not doing it. At this point, with all the discussion about it, maybe they kind of have to reconsider. Maybe there was enough, storm that the rumor has become the norm, and they're going to have to kind of just bite the bullet and start accepting it. Who knows? Maybe the whole thing is a publicity stunt. I didn't realize that there was actually someone from Uber that actually started the rumor. I really thought it was just Bitcoin trolls on Reddit starting strange rumors again. But maybe it was a guy from Uber that knows that that's what will happen if he starts a rumor like that. So, it definitely got them some attention. So Uber, take a look. If you don't do it, someone else will.
And I do believe the story was started in typical Bitcoin fashion. Someone who really believes in Bitcoin asked Uber in tech support whether they'll take Bitcoin. Uber, the tech support guy, not his fault, not trying to do the right thing, trying to be nice to us, that kind of thing, gets taken wholly out of proportion, taken as a press release, all these things. I worry for the guy's job. I'm not sure he's still working at Uber, but hopefully there's other tech support jobs out there for him. But yeah, I mean, it's just a leak, and look at the reaction, Uber. Look at all the articles. Uber will take Bitcoin, and then the next day, Uber won't take Bitcoin. And if you're into press, you know how to change that around. You just make a day 3 story. Uber will take Bitcoin again. Exit question. Do you prefer the informal style of Lyft or the professional style of Uber? Which is better and why? And if you don't have an opinion on this, it's because you don't live in a big enough city yet. Don't worry. It will come to you, or you will come to it. Blake Anderson, Uber or Lyft?
Well, I was in San Francisco recently, and I used Uber quite a bit, and it was a great experience. I've never used Lyft before. A long time ago, I saw the pink mustaches on my Facebook and instantly forsook their entire plan because I just subjectively didn't like the pink mustaches on the cars. That sounds kind of crazy, but that's honestly probably the truth. I mean, I should, now that I've revisited that and admitted that to myself, go out and try Lyft, but I never have.
It's usually around $1 cheaper, and you usually can tell why. Theo Goodman.
Well, I'll have to come clean and say I've never used either one. But I'm pretty old school. I've done hitchhiking. I've done rideshare before Bitcoin existed. So I know the craft of rideshare and how it works and what it's about. And it makes total sense for Bitcoin to be involved. It used to be, a lot trickier. You had to go on these weird forums online and figure out your ride share. But it worked then, and it's working better with these apps and Lyft and Uber. So I don't have an opinion which one is better. I do like that Uber is just taking on the big guys. So here in Germany, Germany said it's not allowed, and they just said, well, we're doing it anyway. So I do like that they're just kind of doing it anyway and trying to exist like that. I think that's a very good way to do it. It's a big risk, but it's getting them a lot of publicity. And if you ask anyone on the street, I think maybe half of them or a lot of people know about Uber, even if they haven't used it yet. So their time will come.
I really do prefer Uber. On the software side, it seems like the Uber matching algorithm works better. Perhaps they have a larger audience. I'm not sure what it is, but it really feels like when Uber picks me up and we pick someone else up a few blocks away, and then we travel to another location and drop them off a few blocks away from where I want to go, it really seems like it works. Whereas Lyft, many times I'll get picked up, taken somewhere completely out of the way, drop someone else off, then go back to my route. It's a huge waste of my time, and the Lyft drivers and cars seem to be not as nice as the Uber cars. It is what it is. Lyft is a little cheaper, but it's not that much cheaper. Moving on, issue 4, loading screen share. Issue 4, the unimportance of merchant adoption. If you build it, they will come, has been the mantra of merchant-first Bitcoiners for a long time now. Powerful companies like Coinbase and BitPay have tried this strategy in detail, even sponsoring major events like the Bitcoin Bowl to highlight and push Bitcoin merchant adoption. The only problem is they may have a lot of eggs, but do they have any chickens? What comes first, total Bitcoin merchant adoption or total Bitcoin adoption? Should we spend our way to TBA, or should we just continue with a merchant-first strategy? I ask you, Theo Goodman.
Well, merchants accepting it is very important, because if I'm, going to have a currency or money or whatever you want to call it and nobody accepts it, well, that makes it pretty difficult use case there. So that's very important. What I think is we need to look at how people can self-discover Bitcoin, use Bitcoin for self-discovery, how we can make Bitcoin fun, and let's get down and dirty and use it for something, and let's experiment with it. And people need to just get it in their hand and use it for something, whether it's speculation, whether it's buying bubblegum, or by doing the revolutionary act of buying socks online with Bitcoin. Then all of those are at least uses, and you have done something with it. So I think that putting things to the test and in practice is where the self-discovery lies, and we still need to figure out and experiment and figure out where that killer app or that killer use really is, and still yet to be found, I think.
Blake Anderson.
Well, I remember back in my day when I could only go and buy alpaca socks, as Theo referenced, or some high quality MDMA off the Silk Road or whatever you would be into. Now there is massive merchant adoption. You can get virtually anything you want. I don't know if it's as easy to get MDMA with Bitcoin anymore, or that you would want to, but now you can go and shop on Overstock, which is really, really, really cool. So I think that America was founded on some of the principles of we want to drink whiskey and smoke tobacco and not pay taxes, and let's go and be able to do that. The Silk Road almost kind of seems like it was a good beginning for getting a new currency off the ground and be like, check out the killer use case for this. You could do and buy anything you want. Everybody's like, yes, let's do that. We've kind of moved beyond that. There's enough eyes on the Silk Road kind of stuff that I'm definitely not recommending that at this point anybody go through, for exit nodes that are of, unsure security and go and buy drugs online. I'm not saying go do that. I'm saying that that's where a lot of this stuff came from, and now with wider merchant adoption, we have a lot more stuff to spend it on. So some people are unhappy because they think that having all the merchant adoption sucks all the money away from the savers, because then they have something to spend it on, and then the price goes down because the merchants liquidate. But that hasn't necessarily been completely the case. It's not been, I think, worth criticizing merchants over. I think that Bitcoin flowing around is overall a good thing, and I think that continuing along a merchant adoption path is actually not a bad idea.
I think the real problem when you look at an event like the Bitcoin Bowl is that they did a great job with half of their project. They went around asking a bunch of merchants to accept it. They got them tablets. They showed them how to use the tablets. They did a good job, right? The other half of that is getting customers for those merchants. Now, you might not think about it, and you might not be motivated to do it, especially if, like BitPay, you've given up on the whole fee thing. When BitPay was taking fees for every transaction, they have a motivation to increase the number of transactions, to increase the number of fees. What they needed was a customer support program. They needed everyone that worked for BitPay, everyone that worked at Bitcoin companies, to shop at these businesses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, to go there for dinner every night to a different business, to really give them the opportunity to know what it's like to have people actually spending Bitcoin at your restaurant, at your shop. And I'm going to be a total homer here. I work for a company that is involved in spending Bitcoin, and that's my new theory on Bitcoin adoption. I believe that we should spend our way to success. If you think about it, investing is hard. Holding Bitcoin is hard. Holding Bitcoin has security problems. Holding Bitcoin can go down in price. Now, buying things, what I'm asking you to do, is easy. You get something you want, you get the money, you convert it to Bitcoin, you go to purse.io or another merchant, you get a discount, you buy your stuff, you get it, you're done. It's not about an investment. Yes, there are investments, and that's a whole separate thing, and there's traders and all these things. Let's put that to the side. What if we just started spending Bitcoin? What if you just started buying everything that you need at Amazon at a discount through Purse or at another company, Gift, at any other company that sells things for Bitcoin? What if we just start spending it? I think it's going to work. I think that there'll be a huge group of people with Bitcoin in their wallets ready to spend, and that when the merchants see that, they'll start accepting. It is a different strategy, but I think it can work.
And I've heard that echoed from other people too, kind of a blow-through strategy. They want to purchase as much Bitcoin as they can and then spend as much Bitcoin as they can and rinse and repeat as often as they can to kind of act like a quasar in space, just shooting out energy in both directions, trying to make positivity. So, I mean, I've kind of heard that before, and yeah, on Purse.io, if you get a discount for spending Bitcoin, I mean, there you go.
And they sell everything on Amazon. I know it's very pluggy here, but like I've been ordering all of my stuff on Amazon with Purse since I started working there. Before, I was too lazy. I wasn't sure if it was legitimate. I didn't know that it's mainly gift card usage. If you really want to go through it, yeah, you can buy Bitcoin with your credit card, but the main way that these people are buying Bitcoin is that they're stuck in gift cards. And if you were stuck in gift cards, you could trade it for some Bitcoin at a 20% cut, and you could use the Bitcoin for rupees to pay your rent or to get food or something that you really need that you can't buy on Amazon.com or it takes too long to be shipped to your location. It's a great deal for you. The person on the other side gets a discount. It's a great deal for them. We're using Bitcoin, which is what Bitcoin's for. It's a currency. It's supposed to be used. So when you're spending it, I think you're right up there with Satoshi. You're doing it right. You're spending Bitcoin. So that's what I'm going to be about coming up soon. So hang on and help me spend if you'd like. We still have a chance for questions and answers, but we only have one. So we're going right to it. David writes, "Greetings, gentlemen. Any thoughts on the recent fireworks in Litecoin? A 50% clobbering in just a few hours. Market liquidations are the proverbial bomb, eh? Blake Anderson, your thoughts on Litecoin's explosion upward and explosion downward?"
Well, I mean, yeah, block halvings are a seriously hardcore event in that supply and demand relative to economics are a pretty well understood thing. So what a block halving is in any given cryptocurrency, take Litecoin for example, is the amount of currency created with each block goes down because of the laws of supply and demand that makes the price go up, etc. Litecoin isn't bad or anything. I had a epic debate with Adam Kokesh about it very, very many years ago. He was really, really promoting it, and I was saying, well, script and Shaw aren't the same thing. And he's like, well, I don't know what that is. I was like, oh, they're different. And Litecoin is great. Charles Lee is a great guy. He's a friend of mine. It's a great financial tool for making returns and going up and down. But in my opinion, it is not Bitcoin. It will always have a fractional value, that of Bitcoin, and I think that the Litecoin activity is really, really good. I would just be worried that anybody would say, oh, just like Adam Kokesh did, Bitcoin is MySpace, Litecoin is Facebook. That is not, in my opinion, the case. I don't know how to really technically make that a tenable opinion of mine, but I guess that's my opinion, that is not the case. So.
One came first and the other one came second, so they must be related, right? Theo Goodman, your thoughts?
What was the exact question? Is it about the price movement or just about
Mainly
Litecoin?
just about Litecoin, what's been going on lately. It went from like around $1.50 to $6, $8, and then it went back down to around $5, I think.
Yeah, well, that's what trading will do. And volatility is back. I mean, Litecoin started this latest Bitcoin rally. Just put the charts together. Litecoin started going up. I mean, if it really started it, I don't know, but it went up before. It was a precursor to the latest Bitcoin rally in the last 2 weeks. So that is interesting, and there seems to be a lot of volume in Litecoin. Now, there was recently a Ponzi related to Litecoin. It's not Litecoin itself, it just was someone that got a bunch of Litecoin and unloaded it or pumped it or something like that. I don't want to get into the fine details, but it is documented recently, I think today, on the BitMEX crypto report, which I encourage you to check out. So that's bitmex.com. I'm not associated with them, but they do a really interesting website, Bitcoin derivatives, and they have a weekly report, and they talk about technical analysis and what's going on in the markets, and they were talking about this Litecoin Ponzi and how that probably affected the price. So yeah, a lot of people are getting margin called, forced liquidations when they're in leveraged positions, when they're 3x, 10x, 20x. I mean, look at these movements. It's very violent out there, ladies and gentlemen. So hold on to your hats, be careful, and don't FOMO.
Well, and I wanted to add to that too. I mean, you're right. The volatility really is here, but I think that it's possible. I want to get your take on this, Theo. Do you think that the volatility in these cryptocurrency chains, which really are markets that can't be cronied, do you think that the volatility in these various different areas is a microcosm of the volatility that we're seeing on the global stage right now with China and with Greece and with Germany saying that we want to kick Greece out of the Eurozone to put the fear of God into France? And do you think that all this volatility that we're seeing is as a result of people not knowing what's going to be going on the global stage coming up here?
Well, it's definitely related. We don't live in a vacuum. It's definitely related. It's not, I don't think it's directly related. Like John is in Greece and is frightened and buys Litecoin. I don't think it's like that. But I think that people that are in the market see that as, okay, well, that's something going on that's relevant. We can see utility here. Let's get out of the Shanghai exchange that just dumped, I think, 10 market capitalizations of Greece. And let's go into something else, whether that's Bitcoin, gold, silver, corn, copper, or I don't know what it could be. But I think that definitely everyone is looking around and saying, what's going on and what am I going to do about it, and how am I going to hedge, or how am I going to secure my capital? And we have a lot of instances here where that's a very relevant situation.
So you're in Germany, and all this stuff is going on. Did you hear about the trading halt on the New York Stock Exchange? What was it, last Monday?
I did hear about it. I have not heard about the reasoning behind it. Have you heard? I had a theory. I have two theories.
Everything I've heard about the reasoning behind it as a computer scientist, to me, is like, that's not a good enough and complete enough reason. I don't believe what you're telling me. That's pretty much been my experience so far. There's one reason to shut down an exchange floor, and that's to prevent catastrophic losses. After what had happened in the Eurozone and in China just before this event, I have a very, very hard time believing that there was some kind of a technical glitch that just had to conveniently take stuff offline for 4 hours.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
allegedly it's an upgrade glitch, and they were trying to upgrade the market, and they happened to break it, as Blake said, conveniently timed when the Chinese stock market was dumping 10 greases. So it was pretty incredible. Theo, what do you think?
Convenient timing, yeah. That just happens to be when we want to upgrade. It's possible. We don't know for sure. What I wanted to say is that well, my theory when I heard it was they either tried to upgrade to Windows 10, or or the interns spilled beer all over the server or something like that. Now I think simple human error like that sounds, like you said, from a technical point of view, it doesn't make sense. Well, then I say, okay, it's either something really stupid, like spilling beer on the server or trying to update to Windows 10, or it's a conspiracy, it's collusion, or something like that. Just as a reminder, I also noticed this week there was an article, unfortunately I can't cite it, and I think we talked about it on Bitcoin Technical Analysis, which you should check out every Wednesday on World Crypto Network, is that the shares on the Shanghai exchange can just, if you're a company, you can say, stop trading please, press the button, and then your share is just stopped. So they don't have to stop the whole market. The companies, it's some weird rule like they really shouldn't, but they can, or something like that.
They're doing all kinds of experimental trading in China. I've heard something. If a stock loses 10% in a day, they'll stop trading, right? Which means that immediately the next morning when that stock opens, it dumps another 10% and gets stopped traded. And it's just this whole thing where it can't let it out. Like if it's supposed to go down 30%, it's going to take 3 days. And it's probably going to go down 50% because of the enhanced panic of these frequent stops. So they're just experimenting all over with it.
And what is China going to do? I mean, America is the giant black hole vacuum of consuming everything. If America stops consuming, it's bad for everybody because everyone is so used to just so many goods going there to be consumed. So if that slows down, with the amount of overhead that China has after pegging to the dollar for so long to get extra money, with which they built extra gigantic cities that nobody lives in, I don't think that they have the ability to go through and make sure that their social safety net is going to be able to take care of all these people after being so fast and loose and reckless and creative with their money systems. I mean, this is just, to me, indicative of a giant problem that is going to affect the entire world. And I mean, the supreme art of war is to fight financially. And so if China's going down and they go down swinging, it is definitely going to affect all the other economies. So I think this is probably some of the biggest news of the week, is how China is faring through all this other geopolitical activity.
And remember, the Chinese market is estimated to be at least 500 times overvalued. So there's at least 4 more stock markets they could lose in this one. And that's because of their inflation, because of the sudden riches of their people, and that all these people took their riches, put them in the stock market, pumped this thing up like a balloon, and now that balloon is 5 times over full. So we lost 10% on that Chinese market, I think maybe a couple days in a row. Like Theo said, it's 10 Greases. So it's equal in size to the Greece catastrophe times 10 already, and there's a lot of room left in that balloon.
So let's just really quick revisit the damage that was done to so many people by investing in property because of signals that are manipulable. If we have mathematically provable digital scarcity and people can put their value into that and have it stay there and not affect our physical, tangible resources here, is that not one of the most important things that we've come up with in all of history? I mean, these are the kinds of realizations that Bitcoin brings to the table that your common person may or may not be able to put together right away. But when they dawn on you, when it washes over you, you realize how big of a transcension of previous systems it was in 2009 when Satoshi finished the white paper, and that's how I feel.
Also worth mentioning is that Bitcoin's locked to 21 million units, so it's a deflationary currency. When we see the Chinese market being inflated like this, that's an example of inflation. A Chinese share in, let's say, pretend Apple, a company like China that's Apple, would be worth, five times less than it was last year because of the inflation. So people who hold things lose money. People who are constantly buying and selling things do well during an inflation cycle, whereas deflation over the long term rewards savers. So it's a different kind of like suggestion to the market.
So if we can reward savers and not incentivize the hoarding of things that people need to survive, I mean, that's a pretty good day.
It's a pretty good value proposition. Let's move on to just a few more questions before we go to predictions. Bitcoin Rat says, hello. And we say hello to you, Bitcoin Rat. We'd love to see the Rat at a meetup soon. I heard the Rat was in San Francisco, but he never came to any meetups. And I don't know why they would do that, these strange companies that exist in the San Francisco Bitcoin space but don't come to meetups. So come to meetups. There's fun. Let's see what else we've got. Ivan writes, I've been using Purse.io for some time. I usually stick with trying to get gift cards for 30% off. It sometimes takes a while to get filled, but for 30%, it's worth it. I buy most of my stuff from Amazon, so I just put it in my account. Prime Day is coming up, too. Prime Day is going to be a very cool day. Amazon's basically trying to fight this new company called Jet. Jet is going with a Costco-type model for savings where you join as a membership, and then they say, hey, we got a great deal on Kleenex. And you say, hey, I'll take that. But you see how it's more of a like they tell you about the deal, whereas Costco, you go to the warehouse and you choose Kleenex. But obviously Amazon's very concerned about this warehouse volume deal store Jet coming in. Previously run by the guy who ran diapers.com, famously fought with Amazon on the price with diapers. Amazon bought diapers.com, brought this guy in. It still wasn't enough for him. He still has a grudge. He still doesn't like Amazon. He doesn't like the way they do things, and he started his own thing again. So that's what Prime Day is about. But yeah, we do hope to get some of those discounted items on Purse as well. You'll be able to save 10% off the Prime Day prices. And like Ivan says, it's worth it to get 30% off. Maybe it takes a couple days. If you want something quickly, we have a 5% option per instant. But yeah, too many plugs. But again, I think that spending is simple. I think it's easy. I don't want to change your investment habits. I don't want to influence your stock buying and trading. But if you buy some Bitcoin today and you spend it for 20% more today, you get 20% more stuff. That's all I got. Let's see.
I want to say that I went to law school at Costco, and Costco's a pretty good place.
That's a good school. My girlfriend flies airplanes there. She's tarded, but she's still a good pilot. Let's see, David says, Thomas, you're talking about limit down days. There are limit up days, too. We have them in the futures markets, gold, oil, etc. I think that when I dropped the 10% thing is what he's saying. So yeah, they have that in gold. And stopping the market is always good. I think generally it gives people a chance to breathe, slow down, think about what they're doing. But the problem is the alternative, when they stop the market and people still come back the next day and they're like, I have to sell. I have to get out of this. This is crazy.
Well, I think the thing is that when the market stops, that in and of itself is such a hyper-massive signal that it can't be ignored, which is why it's so bizarre when they're like, oh, it was planned or not planned or some technical thing. It's like, well, you better figure it out and post exactly what happened. I don't know.
Let's see, we have one more question, then we're going to go on to prediction. He says, hi, everyone. Great to see you this week. Do you know there's 2 episode 70s on the Bitcoin Group site? I would say, yeah, there's 2, but they are different. One of them is officially episode 71, and I changed it on the YouTube, but I didn't change it on all the bloggers. I'll try to change it later today, but yeah, it's the last thing I do in the script is change the number and write the thing. So unless I go back and check, sometimes I do 2 episodes in a row. He also says, what happened to MOOC 3.0 session 8? And that's a mystery for me because I'm not sure what you're talking about. I do know that I still owe everyone another Bitcoin book club. I never got to finish Neuromancer. My friend Nick that I was doing the shows with had a baby. Congratulations, Nick. And he's been very busy with the baby, but I would like to get back together with Nick soon and finish Neuromancer for you and maybe do some other books. I'm not sure. Anyone know what MOOC 3.0 session 8 means, guys?
It was probably the episode where I did the striptease with the ladies.
It's probably, maybe he's referring to our famous drinking episode, which was taken offline because of too much drinking. Anyway, let's move on to predictions or story of the week. Blake Anderson, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I couldn't really keep my pants on for the whole episode, but yeah, the geopolitical stage right now is just absolutely fascinating. Yeah, the Eurozone is just a nightmare. I mean, what is the euro? The euro? What is the euro? Well, the euro was a fantastic experiment that you would think would have had people that have like economics education would be like, no, don't do that. That's a bad idea. You've got various different economies with different monetary and fiscal policies, and you're going to have them all with one unified monetary policy and then fight about fiscal policy and then wonder why it works like shit. I mean, this has been known for a long time, and now we have, Greece being like, well, we don't want the bailout, we don't want any of this stuff anymore. Like, no, and they're like, well, you're still going to get bailed out. We're going to shackle the chains of subjugation around your neck, and you're going to get bailed out no matter what. Well, then now Germany pipes up and like, hey, we're like the biggest workhorse in the euro. No, we don't want you to chain them to our back. Like no. So this entire thing is just a disaster, the likes of which were predicted by very, very many people. So, hopefully people don't continue to listen to non-economists as experts anymore after this, because it really couldn't have broken more stuff.
I was told the euro was a sandwich, usually featuring lamb. We have an update. The analogy or the acronym from earlier was the University on Nicosia, MOOC. It's a Masters of Cryptocurrency and Digital Currency. So I think it's just a shout out to Michael's University. So glad to hear that you're studying. Keep it up. I think everyone should learn about Bitcoin, although maybe not in such great detail, but I think that'll work out for you too. Theo Goodman, a prediction or a story of the week.
I guess I'm going to go with a prediction, and so I am also going to talk about, the euro, because everyone's talking about it, just like Blake was speaking about it, and I like to explain it kind of like a party. So think of the euro, everyone that uses the euro, everyone's at a party, and Germany is the big stakeholder, and they're kind of running the party. Now, if someone leaves the party, then sometimes a lot of people leave suddenly, and then the party's over. You don't want that to happen, okay? So what you want to do is you want to get this guy. You want to tell everyone, no, they're not going to leave. They're not going to leave. They're not going to leave, even though you know they're going to leave. And then when it's time, you want to put them out the back door when nobody's watching, okay? Or you want to, put the black towel over their head and get the bodyguard to push them out the back door and nobody even notices. But the problem is everybody is watching. Everybody is watching. It's not going to work like that. So my prediction is, as long as everyone is paying close attention to Greece, they're not going to leave. But if everyone's distracted by China's stock market crashing like it's never crashed before, or something else like that, then that's a good chance to push them out the back door, and not everyone will leave the party. You see what I mean? You can't have everyone watching and then you do it in this big event. I don't think that would be, if I was, the big guy in control, I wouldn't want to do it like that. I would want to have them go out the back door, no one really notices. And I think now what's going on is everyone is getting tired. We're getting tired of hearing, we've had the same weekend, every weekend, it's the same story. It's kind of like a parent and the child. You're going to have to pay. Oh, I'll pay. It's late, now it's due. Nope, you go to your room. You're going to leave. Nope, I'll give you another chance. Next week you get another chance, and then next week you get another chance, and then it's never resolved. So anyway, my prediction is Greece stays in the euro until something happens to distract everyone.
Very good, Theo.
What kind of distraction? I mean, are we talking like an actual distraction, or like even like the Walking Dead premiere? Like what? Like how do you feel about
No.
entertainment distractions?
It's possible, but I don't. Europe needs soccer, so I don't see that right now. Europe needs soccer or something, or Olympics or something like that, and that's not on the table. So I think we're going to have to go with a different distraction, or tiring people out. It's already happening. People are fatigued of listening to this same story. It's a broken record. They're not, and so if they're fatigued enough, that's also enough. Okay, not so many people are watching. Watch pot doesn't boil, and I think that's what we have going on right now.
Very good. And moving on to a prediction. Thick skins. When the Spartans came back from war covered in cuts and bruises, they healed and developed thick skins. It's time for Bitcoiners to grow up and be ready, because the future of Bitcoin is as clear as the future in Frank Herbert's seminal Dune series. We are the Fremen, with our glowing eyes and the spice of Bitcoin and our thick skins full of water. We're going to need plenty of water because we've been walking in the desert for too long. But don't worry, we'll reach an oasis soon. Oh, we're out of time. Until next time, bye-bye.
Howdy.